Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Welcome back, friends. This is the second day of our 30-day of episode blitzing in a row. And if you didn't hear about that announcement of the 30 days of podcast content I'm going to be doing, then I encourage you to go back to our last episode 33, to hear all about it. I say how doing 30 days of content in a row has benefited me in the past through other outlets and why I am doing it for the podcast. But most importantly, I'm just really excited to be here and talking with you guys every day. And by allowing myself this grace to kind of just do 30 days of talking, there's so many things I can talk about and discuss with you. And one of the important topics I wanted to discuss today is, are you spending too much time on leads? Leads are the most important part of a business after your already active bookings, right? But leads are what keep you in a business. But is there a time when it can be that you are spending too much time on it? So that is what I'm going to get into today. But first, I have some announcements. Going to be brief because this is stuff I'll be saying every day for the next 30 days. But first, starting August 22nd, I am going to be part of the Book More Wedding Summit. I will have the sign up link for that in the show notes of this podcast. And my topic is going to be getting experience when you are just getting started in the wedding business. But if you are already an established pro, they are a number of speakers who will be participating in this free virtual summit. So it's free to attend it live, but if you want to keep the content, then there is a charge for that. So the show notes are in my profile. Also, later in September, mid September, I'm going to be launching a workshop with Carissa Cruzy Weddings. We're really excited about that. And that's part of why I wanted to do this blitz of content so I can get further aligned and connected with my audience leading up to this workshop. But if you haven't met Carissa yet, she is actually one of my podcast sponsors. She sponsors the podcast with some of her offerings, one in which is her Brides to Bookings tool. So this is a monthly social media management tool that is going to give you forms, workbooks, and things that are going to help you work through your leads, which we're talking about today, things that are going to help you with your email sequences, the things that I don't talk about, she talks about in Brides to Bookings. So you can go to the show notes for a link to that, or you can visit idoweddingmarketing.com/sponsor to hear more about Brides to Bookings and what is included in that platform. Brides to Bookings really gets more into the business side of your business, where what I do is I'm getting the people in, okay? I'm leading the horse to water, but you have to make it drink. And so her Brides to Bookings is about how you can make the horse drink. So let's talk about leads. A lot of these aren't going to be blanket statements, okay? Sometimes you're going to have an outside wedding listing site that you use and you'll get an actual lead from it. But for the most part, you don't. And that's what I want to get into today. I find that the harder it is to get in touch through the platform they're using, the hotter of a lead that is. And what I mean is, let's say somebody is on a paid for wedding listing site that has 100 different vendors on it and allows you to send a mass email to all of them. That's a pretty easy way to get in touch. And so, very often, you'll find that you are getting leads from those sources that maybe aren't worth the extra level of time. What do I mean by that? I mean, answer it. I don't mean ignore the lead. I never mean ignore the lead. You still should give it the same attention you always do. You want to respond to it as soon as possible. We'll get into some tricks to that later. You want to give the information they're asking for, but maybe you don't want to keep trying to call them every week or sending more emails or further customizing the emails. So, what I'm talking about is when you get those generic emails that you can tell are copy and pasted, they're really just looking for price. I'm giving you permission in those cases, okay, to just give them the price. Just give them the price, answer the email, give them what they want. And if you have a phone number, call it, but then, release it to the universe. Because what a lot of people are finding on these paid listing sites is that, historically the leads aren't translating for them. So maybe you shouldn't count it into your percentages. Maybe you shouldn't spend more time than is warranted on it. Feel it out. If they don't answer to the first email, second email, a third, that's it. That's it. Because I understand the rule of three, that you give three chances, you reach out three times. But if you're doing that, automate it. That's where you're going to save time and be able to give these leads a bit more grace. Have an automated email sequence, whether you set that up on your own through your mailbox, right? Whether you're using Outlook, Gmail, or you use a CRM service like Honeybook, you should be automating those emails so your salespeople aren't spending more time than necessary at a desk answering leads that aren't actual leads. Very often when I meet people in the industry, especially with venues more so, and they hear that I work with other venues, they want to know about these leads from paid listing sites. And they want to know, is it just us? Is it just us who maybe isn't are not getting the type of leads that we're looking for from it? So what I kind of say to them is that, well, it's not just you. This is something people are expressing all around, but maybe the value in those sites isn't in the leads. These sites have value, but it's in the listing. It's getting you in that listing, it's getting you seen. And what happens is, what I find what happens with a hotter lead is they'll find you. Let's say they do find you through a paid online listing site, they'll click your website. They're going to look at your Instagram. They want to see what your actual real weddings look like. They'll see your reviews on there, and then they'll go to your website or to your Instagram. Those are the first two places they're going to go. And then they're going to contact you through there. So that's what I mean when I say the harder it is for someone to get in touch with you, if they go through the effort of going to an online listing site, then to your website, then to your Instagram, and let's say then they message you on Instagram, that takes a lot more effort than just clicking a button on that online listing site. So already to me, that means that this is a stronger lead. If somebody sees your listing there, goes to your website, and then calls you, they're actually calling you. They are breaking the patterns of millennials and they are calling you. That's a stronger lead. That requires, I think, a little more focus. Or if they're contacting you on your website, they have to actually type. Can you believe that? They actually have to type in their message. But if they do that, to me, that again shows a stronger lead than when somebody is just clicking a button on a site. And once again, that is not me saying online listing sites aren't worth it. I think they are. They get you in front of people. But the leads from it may not be worth days of effort and time. Learn how to use these online listing sites to your advantage, and that's through all your other content, right? Because ideally, the online listing site, you should be using it to get people to your website. And it's at your website where you really want your funnel to begin. And those are the leads that you should be using all your strategies and time on. So, the strategy of answering right away, whatever your personal strategy is when it comes to giving out pricing, giving out package information, and so forth. Lead them into your funnel through your website. Every business is different, but I'm getting a really visual flashback of the sales team when I worked in house. They were older and it's no judgment, but they would hunt and peck, okay, at the keyboard, typing in these coded email addresses that they're given from the online listing site, starting new email sequences to further follow up and try to get them in when it wasn't going to it didn't turn around. It didn't happen. You'll know after your first two emails if anything is going to happen with that, especially if you're answering promptly. So you want to get those emails, you still want to get them in right away. So things that you can do if you're a larger team, have the administrative assistant who is at her desk all day start the initial process of sending the email. Now, I know you're dealing with sales and commissions, but I think for these types of internet inquiries, you want to get a response right away. So allowing somebody, maybe it's a receptionist if you're a larger team, an admin person, allowing them to start the sequence. This way they're not waiting for a salesperson to get through 4 hours of tours, then answering phone messages, then doing emails. Of course, you can also set up, like I mentioned, the automated email sequence, or you can have where the team is receiving alerts on their phone. If you are more of a solopreneur or running a family business, then maybe you want to do that. And then when you're not working, turn off the notifications if you need a break. But having the notification comes up will allow you to be the first to hopefully get in contact, which can really help when you get those internet leads coming in, especially because, and I hate to encourage a hustle culture. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to express answering right away, but giving you tools to make it as easy as possible. What happens is, though, when you're planning a wedding, this is for many people, the first time they've planned any sort of big event. And the first people you come in contact with, they become your safety. They become your person. It's like, all right, they're going to show me the ropes. They're going to show me what to do. It's nerve wracking when you message a wedding vendor for a first time. So when you get somebody who answers and kind of explains things to you and they're the first to come in, it can feel, you get kind of a camaraderie with them. So being the first to answer does have a lot of benefits, and you're going to be the first to say, hey, do you want to come in, do you want to have a meeting, etc. So being the one to kind of set the tone with that client, but respect your boundaries. Know that you don't have to keep your phone on alert all the time. Turn off notifications when it's getting to be too much. But when you really want to, hit some goals, maybe say, all right, this week I'm going to have my notifications on and I'm going to try this out and we're going to see how we do. Now, here is how this relates to your time, because I know I just now said that, you can essentially be on call for leads. But listen, I would rather you be on call for leads that come in and you spend 5 minutes answering them on call than if you waited and had a blocked out time to answer leads when you have less of an opportunity for it. So now you're answering all your leads all at once, even though they all came in at different times, and it's going to be less impactful. So now it is not as smart of a use as your time than if you delegated it to when you were available to receive leads on call. And I say that way, of being available, because I want you, like I said, to respect your boundaries. But if you feel you can do it, right, this is your business, I say do it. Do it. Have those notifications on, or be checking your email once every hour and see if a lead comes in and answer it. Answer it, rather than doing it later where it's still going to be taking up your time, but it may be having less impact. Also, it may not be worth the effort if you have all these copy paste leads from an online listing service and you're spending time 3 times a week following up with them. It's okay to let a cold lead go after your initial email sequence. So that's what I'm saying regarding saving your time too. Work smarter, right? Not harder, right? That's what they say. Work smarter, not harder. When I was chatting with a venue the other day who was asking about leads from online listing sites, I even said to him, I said, I've worked with venues in the past where those are not counted towards percentages, which to them was like mind blowing because you want to know your odds of booking, but the odds of booking those can be so low that it just destroys your booking rate, right? So they still should count, if you turn that into a booking, maybe you get double. I don't know. They still should be counted and tallied so you can see your return on investment. But I would not count them towards your booking stats unless they make an appointment because of how hard that can be. So that was just a little additional note I wanted to add on that.